Hey Bougie click. Are we ready to face the harsh truths of the modeling industry? Since Netflix's Reality Check, Inside America's Next Top Model dropped, the internet has been buzzing with heated debates. Former contestants, critics, and social media users are calling for accountability, but what are we truly upset about? Is it the portrayal of the modeling world or the fact that it forces us to confront uncomfortable realities? Join me as we explore Tyra Banks' journey from breaking barriers in the 1990s to reshaping the industry with ANTM. Stay tuned to uncover the story behind the controversy. Let's get into it.
I'ma make you a fan.
America's Next Top Model: Why Modern Outrage Proves We Can't Handle the Truth. Netflix's Reality Check, Inside America's Next Top Model dropped on February 16, 2026, and the internet promptly lost its collective mind. Former contestants lined up to share their trauma. Critics called the show a cultural war crime. Social media warriors demanded Tyra Banks apologize for every harsh critique, every makeover gone wrong, every moment of tough love delivered across 24 seasons. Here's what they're really upset about: the documentary forces them to confront what the modeling industry actually is, not what they wish it were. The industry Tyra Banks actually faced. When Tyra Banks broke into modeling in the early 1990s, she wasn't entering some enlightened utopia of diversity and inclusion. She became the first Black woman on the covers of GQ and Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. First. In the 1990s. Not the 1890s. By 2003, when ANTM premiered, Banks had already spent over a decade fighting battles most models never face. As she revealed to Essence in 2025, the industry did not like me having diversity in the way that I did on the show. I would hear, "Oh, you got these girls from the hood on your show." The modeling world Banks navigated required Black models to be twice as good for half the opportunities. Fashion houses had unspoken quotas. Magazines had their one Black girl per issue rule. This wasn't ancient history, this was the reality when millennials were watching TRL. Early life and how she got discovered. Tyra Lynn Banks was born in Inglewood, California in 1973 and was scouted as a model at age 15, a moment that launched a career she would fiercely shape on her own terms. She signed with Elite Model Management and quickly moved from local shoots to international runways, a rapid ascent that was rare for a Black teenager in the early 1990s fashion world. Within her first runway season in Paris, she booked 25 shows. Let that sink in. A Black teenager from Inglewood, California, dominated Paris Fashion Week when less than 3% of runway models were Black. The struggles with agencies and designers. Agency gatekeeping was real for Tyra. Signing with Elite opened doors, but it did not erase the structural bias she faced. Agencies in the 1990s still operated on narrow ideas of beauty and marketability. Models of color were often pigeonholed into specific jobs or tokenized for diversity photo shoots rather than treated as equals for couture campaigns. Tyra's success was exceptional precisely because the system was stacked against her from the start. Designers were another battleground. Runway bookings and front row placements were controlled by a small set of decision-makers who favored a particular look. Even after Tyra became a household name, she has spoken about the micro and macro slights that Black models endured: being overlooked for certain shows, being styled in ways that erased their identity, or being asked to conform to a narrow aesthetic. Those are not anecdotes, they were industry norms that Tyra had to navigate while building a public persona. The Paris betrayal. After her triumphant Paris debut in 1991, Banks gained 25 pounds, normal weight for a growing 17-year-old. The response? Every single agency in Paris dropped her like toxic waste. Elite LA Models, her mother agency, terminated her contract. The message was crystal clear: your body belongs to us, not you. The designer discrimination, fashion's dirty secret. Major fashion houses in the early 1990s operated on an unspoken one Black model per show rule. Banks revealed designers would literally tell her, "We already have our black girl." Karl Lagerfeld famously refused to book her for Chanel, claiming she was too voluptuous for haute couture. Meanwhile, white models with similar measurements walked his runways without question. The agency wars, exploitation disguised as opportunity. When Ford models finally signed Banks after the Paris rejection, they immediately demanded she lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks. The industry standard for black models in 1992? Accept 30% less pay than white counterparts for identical work. Banks was told repeatedly she was lucky to work at all, despite out-earning most models in her bracket. The model rivalry, Naomi's reign of terror. Naomi Campbell, then fashion's reigning black supermodel, made Banks' life hell. Campbell actively campaigned to keep Banks off runways, telling designers there's only room for one of us. She refused to appear in shows that booked Banks and allegedly threatened younger black models who befriended her. The psychological warfare was deliberate. Campbell understood the industry's quota system and weaponized it. Breaking barriers and building a brand. Tyra did not just walk into modeling, she broke doors down. In 1997, Banks became the first black model to grace the Victoria's Secret catalog solo. The initial board reaction? Marketing executives predicted a 40% sales drop in southern states. Instead, that issue became one of their highest-selling catalogs ever, proving their racism was not only morally bankrupt but financially stupid. She became one of the first black women to land major magazine covers for mainstream publications, including being the first black woman on the cover of GQ and one of the first to appear on the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, where she appeared multiple times. When Banks graced the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue cover in 1997, the first black woman to do so solo, she didn't just break a barrier. She shattered the magazine's sales records, moving 45% more copies than the previous year. Yet internal memos later revealed executives had fought the decision for months, certain it would alienate core readership. She also became a Victoria's Secret angel, a role she held from 1997 to 2005, and used those platforms to convert runway fame into mainstream celebrity. Those milestones were not symbolic only, they were currency in an industry that had long limited who could be a face of fashion. Public fallouts and the Victoria's Secret story. Tyra's relationship with big brands was not always smooth. Her tenure with Victoria's Secret made her a global face of lingerie and glamour, but it also came with backstage politics and public slights. There are widely reported anecdotes about her being promised perks that did not materialize and about being publicly embarrassed in retail situations after her contract ended, stories that underline how disposable even top models can be once a brand moves on. Those incidents are small windows into a larger truth: fame in fashion can be transactional and unforgiving. The numbers don't lie, statistical reality of 1990s fashion. Black models comprised 1.8% of magazine covers in 1991. 73% of black models reported being asked to wear ethnic hairstyles exclusively. Pay gap data showed black models earned 45% less than white models for commercial work. Only 6 black models appeared in major cosmetics campaigns between 1990 to 1995. Reinvention and legacy. Tyra survived an industry that was not built for her and then remade parts of it. She parlayed modeling into television, into a daytime talk show that won Emmys, into producing, and into entrepreneurship. She used her platform to spotlight new talent and to monetize her expertise in ways that models before her rarely did. That reinvention is part savvy business move and part cultural intervention. She created pathways for others even as she navigated the compromises the industry demanded. The reality check moment that made her a mogul. In 2003, Tyra created and launched America's Next Top Model, a reality competition that ran for 24 seasons and turned modeling into a televised talent pipeline. The show made Tyra a producer and a brand architect, and it amplified her influence beyond the runway into television, publishing, and business. ANTM also became a lightning rod for criticism about how the industry treats bodies, race, and young women, controversies Tyra has revisited publicly in recent retrospectives. The truth ANTM actually told. America's Next Top Model didn't create harsh beauty standards, it exposed them. The show's controversial moments that now trigger outrage compilations? They were training for an industry that remains brutally selective. Consider these realities. Physical standards: the modeling industry still demands specific measurements. Elite agencies still turn away beautiful women for being an inch too short or having hips 2 inches too wide. ANTM's critiques about weight and proportions weren't cruelty, they were preparation. Psychological pressure: models face constant rejection, harsh criticism, and pressure to maintain impossible standards. When Banks delivered tough feedback, she was conditioning contestants for rooms where nobody would care about their feelings. Competition reality: for every successful model, thousands fail. The show's elimination format wasn't manufactured drama, it was a compressed version of industry attrition. Why 2026 can't handle 2003's honesty. The modern backlash against ANTM reveals something deeper than concern for contestants' well-being. It exposes our collective delusion about how success in image-based industries actually works. We want to believe that everyone is beautiful, that trying hard guarantees success, that the modeling industry has evolved beyond appearance-based discrimination. Statistics tell a different story. Despite 2 decades of diversity initiatives, the fashion industry remains overwhelmingly homogeneous. A 2025 report showed that while Black model representation improved after 2020's racial reckoning, those gains are already eroding. The 10 steps forward, 2 steps back pattern continues. What's changed isn't the industry, it's our willingness to acknowledge its realities. We've convinced ourselves that if we use gentler language, the harsh truths disappear. If we don't say you're too short for runway, maybe height won't matter. If we don't critique someone's walk, maybe presence becomes optional. The epidemic of fragility. We've created a society of glass figurines, beautiful to look at, but shatter at the slightest touch. A 2019 study from the University of Chicago found that 82% of college students reported emotional distress when receiving constructive criticism, up from 44% in 1985. This isn't evolution, it's devolution. The numbers paint a stark picture. 3 out of 4 hiring managers report that recent graduates expect promotions within the first year without demonstrating exceptional performance. Meanwhile, 67% of supervisors admit they avoid giving negative feedback because they fear emotional reactions. We're literally managing around fragility. When everyone's special, no one is. The participation trophy phenomenon started as a well-meaning gesture and morphed into a cultural cancer. Research from Stanford's Graduate School of Education tracked 4,000 students from youth sports through college. Those who received constant praise regardless of performance showed 45% higher rates of quitting when faced with genuine challenges. Here's the brutal math: when you reward mediocrity, you get more mediocrity. A longitudinal study following Everyone Gets a Trophy leagues found that by high school, these athletes were 3.2 times more likely to quit sports entirely when they didn't make varsity. They'd never learned that rejection is redirection, not destruction. The workplace reality check nobody wants. Corporate America has become a daycare center for adults. A 2021 Gallup survey revealed that 76% of millennials expect regular recognition just for completing basic job requirements. Not exceeding expectations, meeting them. The same study found that 64% would rather receive public praise than a financial bonus. Let that sink in. Almost 2/3 of workers prefer Instagram-worthy moments over actual money. We've created a generation that values the appearance of success over success itself. LinkedIn has become a participation trophy platform where everyone's a thought leader and every minor task is a major achievement. The science of softness. Neuroscientists at UCLA discovered what they call the criticism cortex, areas of the brain that have literally shrunk in people under 35 compared to previous generations. Regular exposure to honest feedback creates neural pathways for resilience. Without it, those pathways never form. The data is damning. People who grew up receiving constant praise show 40% less activity in the anterior cingulate cortex when processing negative feedback. Their brains literally cannot process criticism the way previous generations did. We haven't just coddled a generation, we've rewired their neurons for weakness. The participation trophy pipeline. Follow the trajectory: youth sports where everyone's a winner. Schools where grades are inflated to protect self-esteem. Colleges where challenging ideas require trigger warnings. Then these individuals hit the workforce expecting the same cushioned reality. A Harvard Business Review analysis of 50,000 performance reviews found that managers spend 31% more time softening feedback for employees under 30. That's not communication, it's translation services for adults who never learn to speak reality. The entitlement equation. Here's the formula destroying productivity: minimal effort plus maximum expectation equals modern entitlement. A 2020 study of 10,000 workers found that 71% of employees under 30 expected annual raises regardless of performance metrics. Not based on merit, based on existing. The same demographic shows up late twice as often, takes 40% more sick days, and still expects the same advancement timeline as high performers. When confronted, 58% cite mental health as the reason they can't meet basic expectations. We've weaponized wellness into an excuse for incompetence. Why nobody can handle no. The word no has become verbal assault. Psychologists at Northwestern found that people under 35 show stress responses to rejection similar to physical pain. Not metaphorically, their bodies literally react as if they've been slapped. This hypersensitivity creates a vicious cycle: the more we avoid saying no, the more traumatic it becomes to hear it. We've created emotional hemophiliacs who bleed out from paper cuts. A simple "your work needs improvement" sends them spiraling into therapy. The feedback phobia destroying excellence. Excellence requires friction. Growth demands discomfort. But we've created safe spaces so padded that any contact with reality causes trauma. An MIT study found that employees who receive honest, direct feedback improve performance by 39%. Those who receive only positive reinforcement, they plateau or decline. Yet 89% of managers report walking on eggshells when providing feedback to younger employees. We're sacrificing excellence on the altar of feelings. The result? Mediocrity masquerading as inclusivity. The hard truth about soft skills. We've confused kindness with coddling, empathy with enablement. Real kindness tells someone their presentation sucked so they can improve. Real empathy recognizes that shielding people from reality cripples their growth. But that requires courage most people don't have. It's easier to smile, nod, and watch someone fail slowly than tell them the truth and risk their tears. We've created a culture of cowards managing children in adult bodies. The price of pretending. This isn't sustainable. Reality doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't give participation trophies. Competition doesn't offer trigger warnings. While we're busy protecting everyone's emotions, other countries are raising generations of resilient, ambitious achievers who will eat our lunch. A comparative study of American and East Asian students found that American students rated themselves 34% higher in math ability while scoring 23% lower on actual tests. We've created a nation of confident incompetents who genuinely believe feeling good about yourself is the same as being good at something. The generation gap in truth-telling. Banks comes from a generation of Black women who couldn't afford comfortable lies. When you're the first Black model on major magazine covers, when you're fighting for every opportunity, when you're told there's only room for one of you, you learn that sugarcoating reality helps nobody. Modern audiences, raised on participation trophies and body positivity mantras, interpret this directness as cruelty. They've mistaken honesty for harassment, preparation for persecution. They want mentors who prioritize feelings over futures. But here's the truth they can't handle: the modeling industry doesn't care about your feelings. Fashion houses don't book models based on personality. Campaigns aren't cast to ensure everyone feels included. ANTM's harsh moments weren't bugs, they were features designed to filter out those who couldn't handle the pressure. The price of sanitized narratives. The real tragedy isn't that ANTM was too harsh, it's that we've lost the ability to prepare people for harsh realities. In our rush to protect feelings, we've created a generation unprepared for industries that remain ruthlessly competitive. Young women entering modeling today still face the same pressures, the same rejections, the same impossible standards. The difference? They're less prepared for it. They've been told that confidence conquers all, that everybody is a runway body, that success is just about believing in yourself. Then they meet reality: agencies that measure hip bones, clients who demand specific looks, an industry that discards models at 25. Without preparation, without honesty, without someone like Tyra Banks telling them the brutal truth, they're lambs to the slaughter. The verdict we don't want to hear. Reality check. Inside America's Next Top Model succeeded in one crucial way: it proved we prefer comfortable lies to uncomfortable truths. The documentary's critics aren't really angry about the past, they're angry about the present. They're furious that beauty standards still exist, that appearance-based discrimination continues, that some dreams remain statistically improbable. Tyra Banks refuses to apologize because she knows what her critics won't admit: she told the truth. In an industry built on image, she dared to be honest about what image demands. In a world of pretty lies, she delivered ugly truths. The modern outrage isn't about protecting future models, it's about protecting ourselves from acknowledging that we still live in a world where looks matter, where beauty has currency, where not everyone can be a model no matter how much we wish otherwise. That's the reality check we actually need. But based on the reaction to this documentary, it's clear we're still not ready for it. The solution nobody wants to hear. Start telling the truth. Stop rewarding existence. Celebrate excellence, acknowledge effort, but stop pretending they're the same thing. Normalize failure as a teacher, not a trauma. Make people earn their accolades. Yes, feelings will be hurt. Yes, some will cry. Yes, they'll write angry tweets about toxic environments and lacking empathy. Let them. Because on the other side of that discomfort is actual growth, real achievement, and genuine self-esteem built on accomplishment, not affirmation. The truth is simple: we've raised a generation of emotional marshmallows in a world full of fires. Either we start building heat resistance now, or we watch them melt at the first sign of real challenge. Tyra Banks's story is not a fairy tale. It is a ledger of wins and wounds. She broke barriers as one of the first Black supermodels to dominate mainstream fashion, she built a media empire, and she also endured the petty cruelties of agencies, designers, and a culture that profits from competition and conformity. She made mistakes, she apologized, and she kept moving. If you want a one-line summary with attitude, she turned the runway into a stage and then turned that stage into a business, while reminding the industry that talent does not come in one shade or one size. If you want comfortable lies over uncomfortable truths, be prepared to face the consequences of loss. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into America's Next Top Model and the realities of the modeling industry. It's clear that while much has changed since Tyra Banks first broke barriers, the core challenges remain. The conversation doesn't end here, let's keep it going in the comments. What are your thoughts on the modern modeling landscape and the impact of ANTM? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content. Until next time, stay informed and keep questioning the narratives. See you in the next video. What do you think? Does modern outrage proves we can't handle the truth? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie. Follow and support me. All links in bio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check description for more info. New episodes every day.